Hello everyone, I Dr. Sayyida Sara welcome you in the next part of posterior compartment of a thigh and a hamstring muscles. Previously I told you briefly about the muscles of posterior compartment of thigh, what the muscle are doing in our routine activities, how they're going to help us. Hope you will be familiar now with their names. Previously I also explained their function and how we are going to build these muscles. But today I will tell you about the detailed anatomy of muscles of posterior compartment of thigh. I will describe first sequence-wise bicep femoris and later on the other muscles of this group. So in this series I am going to explain you their origin, insertion, their nerve supply, action, and what they are having their clinical significance. When we talk about bicep femoris, you have to remember this is a fusiform muscle. And this muscle is having its name bi means two. So this muscle is having two heads. You have to remember this muscle like if there is some person and that person is having two head and we name that head of that person as a long head and short head. So this is two-headed muscle, long head, or that we also name as hamstring portion, and a short head that is also mentioned in some books as an gluteal portion. So hamstring portion and a gluteal portion, or the long head or the short head, that is the same name of the two head of this muscle. Now focus on this image of a posterior aspect of a thigh. On left side superficial dissection is shown and on a right side deep dissection is shown. Now I will give you some tips for the identification of these muscles that will help you in a dissection. First, identify medial and the lateral side of body on posterior aspect of thigh. So body should be placed on a posteriorly, and on posterior side what you have to identify the medial and the lateral side of body. So on superficial dissection, when you even don't remove gluteus maximus, you can observe semitendinosis and the part of semimembranosus on medial side. And close to it, the long head of bicep femoris can be identified on lateral side. So two muscles which are semitendinosus and membranosus, these are on a medial side and the long head of bicep is slightly on lateral side. So when we are going to move on a deep dissection, so on a deep dissection what you have to do, you have to identify again the medial and the lateral side of a body. And when you remove gluteus maximus and the medius and you are on a deep dissection, you can observe ischial tuberosities. So remember, ischial tuberosities are also on the upper and the medial side of thigh. As we can see here in this image, you can clearly identify the ischial tuberosities. So now you can clearly point out the proximal attachment of a semitendinosus and a long head of bicep femoris. Again, semitendinosus will be on a medial side of ischial tuberosity and the long head of bicep will be on lateral side of ischial tuberosity, but both are having attachment on a ischial tuberosity, one on a slightly medial side of ischial tuberosity and other on its lateral side. So if I just zoom this part and explain it, you can see these are ischial tuberosities. And of course, we can see the bones on deep dissection. It means the muscles are removed and we are on a deeper dissection. You can observe two muscles which we are talking about their origin, and their origin is from ischial tuberosity. And that I have already mentioned these muscles. Medial one is semitendinosus as you can see here, and the lateral one is long head of bicep femoris. Here in upper part of thigh on deep dissection and again on ischial tuberosity, we can observe tendon of a semimembranosus muscle as well. But please remember, this muscle will be deep to long head of bicep femoris and the semitendinosus. First you have to remove gluteus maximus, medius, and then semitendinosus. And when you are going to retract long head of bicep, you are going to observe another muscle of posterior compartment of a thigh, that is semimembranosus. You can clearly observe in this section, long head of bicep femoris and the semitendinosus is removed. So here when we are going to remove this muscle, we are able to see semimembranosus as I told you earlier. So hamstrings are having common origin, that is from ischial tuberosities, and you can see semitendinosus was also originating from ischial tuberosity. Semimembranosus was also originating from ischial tuberosity, and the long head of bicep femoris is also having same origin, That's why they are named as hamstring muscle. Not just one muscle of posterior compartment is left, and in a previous video you have seen that muscle is short head of bicep femoris. Now I will tell you what are important points that you have to remember regarding this muscle, how you can identify short head of bicep femoris on a dissection. For short head of bicep femoris, you have to remember you can observe this muscle on superficial dissection as well, but just part of this muscle will be visible, and this will be visible on lower and the lateral side of thigh. In upper half of thigh, on a posterior aspect, you are unable to see on a superficial or a deep dissection the short head of bicep femoris. But I am telling you, on the lower and the lateral side of thigh, on posterior aspect, on a superficial dissection, you can see part of this muscle. But if you want to see this muscle clearly and completely, you can observe this on deep dissection. So on deep dissection, again, it can be observed below the middle part of thigh. So on thigh, you have to roughly point out the mark that is a middle of thigh, and when you are on a middle point or just below the middle point of thigh, but again on lateral side, you can trace out the origin of this muscle. That will be quite clear to you. So this muscle is having origin that is quite lower to that of long head of bicep femoris, because long head of bicep femoris was originating from ischial tuberosities and that were higher up. But this part, that is the short head, this is arising from lower third of linea aspera and the lateral supracondylar ridge of femur. And you know already this point that the linea aspera and this lateral supracondylar ridge is on posterior aspect of femur, and it is quite low as compared to that of ischial tuberosities. So last point to remember regarding this that will always help you is it will always deep and lateral to long head of bicep femoris. So when you are going to remove bicep femoris, but again you will have to be on lateral side, then you can clearly see the short head of bicep femoris. In upper part you have seen they were having separate attachment. One was from ischial tuberosities, other was from lateral supracondylar ridge and the linea aspera. But when they are having their attachment, distal attachment of two muscle, that is same, because at inferior part of thigh, the long head and the short head, they are joined together and they form tendinous part. And this round tendon is going to attach on the lateral side of a knee joint, as we can see here. So both heads are having common attachment on the lateral side of knee joint. So on lateral aspect, you have to remember their combined tendon is getting attached on head of fibula. If you want to observe this tendon of this muscle, or if you want to feel it, what you have to do, you have to flex your knee against resistance. So when you are going to flex your knee against resistance, you can feel the tendon of both long and a short head of bicep femoris that was attaching on head of fibula. So now what I will say, if I give you quick tip, I will say two muscles on a medial side and two muscles on a lateral side. It's quite easy for you. So medial side muscle are semitendinosus, and deep to semitendinosus is semimembranosus. But both are taking origin from ischial tuberosities on its medial side of ischial tuberosities. So on lateral side, we are having two muscles, that is long head of bicep femoris and the short head of bicep femoris. Long head, it was originating from ischial tuberosities, and the short head was originating from linea aspera, but again on posterior aspect of shaft of femur. So now I will tell you some important points and details relating to these muscles of posterior compartment that will help you in exams. Previously we covered how you can identify these muscles on dissection by identifying just medial and the lateral side. So here in this image, observe sciatic nerve and the long head of bicep femoris. So these 2 points you have to see, and again please observe these 2 points on this image. You can see long head of bicep femoris is retracted in this image. So when we are going to retract long head of bicep femoris, we can see a one thick nerve on a posterior aspect of thigh, and that nerve is sciatic nerve, that is nerve of posterior compartment of thigh. So most important point to remember for exam is long head of bicep femoris is providing protection to sciatic nerve. After sciatic nerve is going to descend from gluteal region into posterior aspect of thigh. So in thigh, this is posterior to long head of bicep femoris. So if you want to see this nerve, first you have to retract the long head of bicep femoris and then you are able to see this. You also know this point that the sciatic nerve divides into two terminal branches, mean when this nerve is going to end, it divides into two branches. And these are the lateral branch that we name as common fibular nerve, and one branch is medial branch that we name as tibial nerve. Because tibia bone is medially, so its medial branch is tibial nerve, and the fibula bone is laterally, so its lateral branch is common fibular nerve. So here the lateral branch, that is a common fibular nerve, this is in close relationship with that of bicep tendon. So have you ever thought why this lateral branch of sciatic nerve is close relation to that of bicep tendon? Can you please answer this? Oh yes, it's very simple. I will say because I told you initially and I'm telling you again and again that on lateral side, on dissection, or when you are going to observe on a model on a posterior aspect of thigh, we are having bicep femoris, and medially we are having semitendinosus and the semimembranosus. So it's quite obvious the structure that is in relation to that on lateral side will be bicep femoris, because on lateral side bone is fibula, and also on the lateral side nerve is common fibular nerve. So common fibular nerve is in close relation with that of bicep tendon. So it can get damaged when you are going to doing dissection in a bicep region or on a lateral side of thigh. So again, if I summarize these points, I will say lateral side muscle in relation with lateral side nerve, that is common fibular nerve, and attaching on the lateral side bone, that is fibula bone. So this relationship of head of fibula and the common fibular nerve is very, very important clinically. So you don't have to forget, you can't miss this. So another point that you should know regarding the muscles of posterior compartment of thigh is hamstring, that are semitendinosus, semimembranosus, and the long head of bicep femoris. They have a common nerve supply, and their common nerve supply is from tibial domain of sciatic nerve. And we have seen that short head of bicep femoris is not supplied by tibial domain of sciatic nerve. Short head of bicep femoris is supplied by the common fibular nerve. That's why it's not included in hamstring group. It was also having proximal attachment different from that hamstring group. So it's also not included in any way. It's not going to fall in that group. So just the short head is different from that of other two. So dear friends, you know, because the two heads of bicep femoris, they are having different nerve supply. So if there are wound in a posterior compartment of thigh with a nerve injury, they can just paralyze one head of bicep femoris. It's not necessary always whole muscle will be affected or its two head will be affected. Just one head or one nerve can be affected. So now I will cover the semitendinosus and the semimembranosus. Both semitendinosus and the semimembranosus I have described multiple times. They will be on a medial side. I have also told you semitendinosus will be on. So you can see this muscle on superficial dissection, and deep to semitendinosus you will be having semimembranosus. Have you ever thought why semitendinosus is having this name? It's having this name because of half tendinous and half fusiform belly. So when you are going to see this muscle, it will be half tendinous and half fusiform. So semimembranosus muscle, as its name indicates, this is a broad muscle. This is in a shape of flattened membrane, and its proximal attachment we have covered will be on ischial tuberosities. So you don't have to forget that semimembranosus lies deep to semitendinosus, but again these both are on medial side. So they are getting attached on a medial side bone, and you know medial side bone is tibia bone. But we have to remember, important point is, but where, at which point on tibia they are going to attach, that I am going to tell you right now. Like we had seen, bicep femoris, its both head were having attachment on lateral side on head of fibula, and their attachment was common for both head. But this semitendinosus and the semimembranosus, distally, they are having different attachment. So distally, the tendon of semitendinosus is attaching on a medial surface of superior part of tibia as a part of pes censorinus. So what is pes censorinus? I have already covered. In adductor compartment, I have told you, and in pes censorinus, you have covered which muscles are included in it. So this is a conjoint tendon of sartorius, gracilis, and semitendinosus. It means one muscle of posterior compartment that is attaching on medial side, that is semitendinosus. This is as a part of pes censorinus. So this is having common attachment with sartorius and gracilis, and they are going to attach over there on tibia bone. So distally, the semimembranosus tendon, it's very important to remember, you have to identify that it divides into three parts. When it is going to attach distally, there are three distal attachment of semimembranosus. So this is posterior view of knee joint. Again, first identify the medial side and then the lateral side. On medial side, because we are covering the semitendinosus and semimembranosus, we can observe semimembranosus, and of course the semitendinosus will be superficial to this. So the first part of semimembranosus attaches distally as a direct attachment. Direct attachment mean on a posterior surface of medial tibial condyle directly it's going to attach. So you can observe first part in this image, that is going to attach directly on a medial tibial condyle. So the second part of this muscle, it blends with popliteal fascia, as you can see here. And now the last and the third part of semimembranosus tendon is left, that is its reflected part. Reflected mean it have to reflect from medial side to that of lateral side. So semimembranosus, this part reflects from medial to lateral, and on lateral side we know there is lateral condyle of femur. So this reflected part is also named as oblique popliteal ligament. It means here we have covered most important point, that oblique popliteal ligament is actually a reflected part of semimembranosus muscle. So what is the function of this oblique popliteal ligament? It is going to reinforce, or it is going to strengthen the intracondylar part of your knee joint. So you can see how perfectly the nature have done this reinforcement, as an oblique popliteal ligament is going from medial to lateral side. So it is attaching on a lateral condyle of femur. In this way, our knee capsule is strengthened internally. Dear doctors, now quickly I will summarize this posterior compartment muscle on a table. That will help you for a quick review. This will also help you in a theory questions or in exams as well. You can see four muscle and you know the name of this muscle. And I had told you earlier that the adductor magnus hamstring part is also included in by some books in a posterior compartment, because this is hamstring part. And so you can see hamstring have a common origin, that is from ischial tuberosity, and hamstring we know these are semitendinosus, semimembranosus, and a long head of bicep femoris. And among those hamstrings, the semimembranosus and the semitendinosus, they are, because they were on a medial side, so distally they are going to attach on a medial side bone, as you can see here, and this is tibia bone. While the long head of bicep femoris and the short head of bicep femoris, they were having common distal attachment, and we can identify these muscle on lateral side, and of course they are having distal attachment on lateral side bone, that is head of fibula. So all hamstrings are supplied by tibial portion of sciatic nerve, except short head, that is a not part of hamstring, that's why it is supplied by fibular portion of sciatic nerve. So you all know that the muscles of posterior compartment are an extensor of thigh at hip joint, and they are flexor of leg at knee joint. So besides that, you already know the semimembranosus and the semitendinosus, because they are on a medial side. So they are also medial rotator of leg at knee joint. And we also know the long head of bicep femoris and the short head of bicep femoris, they were attaching on the lateral side. So they are lateral rotator of leg at knee joint. It means on knee joint they are acting as a medial rotator and the lateral rotator, and you know medial side muscle will be medial rotator and the lateral side muscle they will be lateral rotator. Now I will cover the clinicals related to that you can encounter if you are a sports therapist. So hamstring strains can occur in this region and they're quite common. So these strains can be of a grade 1, they can be of grade 2 or a grade 3. Grade 1 mean they are the minor and it can be just pull of hamstring. Or grade 2 or 3, in these cases hamstring can be torn or there can be complete avulsion of these hamstring muscles. So these are severe as compared to grade 1. So such strain are common in running, jumping, in quick start sport such as the baseball, basketball, football if you're going to play these games. So why these strain occur in such sports? It's because in a quick start sport, what you are going to do, there is a violent muscular exertion and that is required to excel these parts or a start of game. You know, hamstring strain are quite common and they are 2 times more common than that of quadriceps strains. So usually thigh strains, they are associated with that of contusion, bruising and a tearing of a muscle fiber. And of course, we know whenever there is a tearing of a muscle fiber, there is a rupture of blood vessel which are going to supply these muscle. And when the blood vessel are going to rupture, there can be a hematoma formation. And you will observe hematoma will be retained in that area. So now again my question is, why hematoma is retained in that area? That's because of fascia lata and its attachment. Because we had seen the fascia lata is going to enclose our thigh just like stocking. So hematoma is retained, it's not widespread like another hematoma in other condition that's going to happen. So when these strain occur, patient also feel pain. So why the patient are feeling pain in that condition? Because of tearing of a hamstring fiber. So it's quite painful. Even when the athlete move or stretches the leg, the person falls or it is in a pain. So that's why these injuries occur most often. These results from inadequate warming up before practice or you know, still if you are having adequate practice, even then these strains can happen. So these can happen if a person is kicking football and there is forcible flexion at hip joint with knee extended. As we can see here, if knee is extended and you are forcefully flexing the hip joint, what can happen over here? This results in avulsion or tearing away of bicep femoris and the semitendinosus from its proximal attachment. And the proximal attachment, you know, that was on ischial tuberosities. So that was all about posterior compartment of thigh, its muscle, their detailed anatomy, how you can identify these muscle on dissection. I have told you some important tips and tricks that will help you in exams. So thanks for joining me in exploring these muscle. I have covered the key players that were the bicep femoris, semitendinosus, semimembranosus, along with their clinical significance. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more content on anatomy. Drop any question you have below and let me know what you would like to see next. Stay tuned and keep moving, as in this case your muscle will say you thank you, not I will say you. But I am going to thank you for watching this video, and please like and subscribe this channel. Thank you so much.